Hello everyone. Like with most things in life, at least for me, I do them to 95% completion and then I start procrastinating and do other stuff. Let me know, first of all, if that's you as well. But I was doing a series. I was very excited about Nurgil Salimova's candidates tournament and I realized I never did the last game, which was actually a very nice game. So today I will share my thoughts on it and kind of complete my series. The series will be completely complete when I re-record the first video, because originally it had terrible sound, and when I kind of give an overall summary, which I'll probably do separately from this, just to complete this project. But none of this would happen unless we first discussed the last game, where Nurgil has the black pieces and is playing against Alexandra Goryachkina, her nemesis from last year's World Cup. Also, I believe she really respects her, like a great player, obviously, has white pieces. Now, it's important to know that by round 14, none of these players were really in serious contention to win. I think already it was impossible for Goryachkina to be first by far. Maybe it was possible to be second, but I don't know why you would care so much in a tournament where first place is the biggest prize. At the same time, for Nurgil, she had rough rounds, especially between 10 and 13, that kind of ruined her chances of a better performance, but still I think in the end she finishes the tournament strongly, given that she was the lowest rated player. So, with this introduction, I'm really glad that the players didn't play how one of the games in the men's tournament finished after 4 minutes. Maybe they were busy catching their flight home or something like that, but in any case, we have a game on our hands. And let's have a look at what happened. We have, again, I always hope when I see this that there will be a Pierce defense by black, because it's an opening that I like, and Nurgil has played many openings in this tournament that are not traditional, not conventional, and also have worked pretty well. Like in most of the games, she was coming out pretty strong out of the opening, but she chooses actually to make it what's called a Philidor defense. Lion variation according to chess.com. Now, I don't play this, I'm not very familiar with this. I like the Pierce when I start like that, and play basically e5 much later in the game. But in any case, we have some quite normal, I would say, development by both players, and as you can see, the computer likes this for both players, none of them having a big advantage. And very normal development, particularly with focus on the queen side. In fact, by move 13, as we can see, Nurgil actually has 0.3 lead, so she's definitely been prepared and has come out on top from the opening, even though by a slightest bit. But as black, that's quite as good as it gets when you're playing the black pieces, so she should definitely be happy with what has happened in the first 16 or so moves. However, as the game started liquidating, there became some complexities, and let's see how Nurgil will handle those. At the moment her queen is threatened, but she has an obvious escape with queen to f6, and now there will be some play on the queen side. After this move, queen takes d6, Nurgil will probably take the pawn back, queen takes b2, yes indeed, and then we have by Nurgil a move that the engine really doesn't like, so putting the bishop back to f8. I think it just doesn't do enough. It looks a bit passive, even though it has its own merits. What she could have considered doing is seize this open file, either by playing the rook to maybe d8 or straight the queen to d2, but something more active than the passive, or maybe protecting the pawn with the rook would make more sense than with the bishop. In any case, we have bishop to c8, and now losing the pawn on a5, recapturing a pawn on b3, and here is the critical moment that basically Nurgil is really in trouble in this move. It's 2.4, and if Goryachkina finds the best continuation, she's going to probably win the game, because 2.4, 2.5, that's very serious advantage if you are able to convert it. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You can pause the video and think what will be the best move for white to play, given that there is only one move. Alright, let's see if you manage to find it. So the correct move is knight to d6, and actually usually I don't go into these variations when it didn't happen, because I'll spoil it a bit. Goryachkina did not play that, she played a different move, and we'll see what she played. But the idea here is, on one hand, you're threatening this rook, So the rook needs to do something. You can go rook to e5, threatening the queen. That's a good move. The rook's protected, and you might later double down. So that's the best move in the position to respond. But after queen to d2, you play queen to e6 as black in order to bolster your defenses, and now white has f4, quite a cheeky pawn move that really restricts where the rook could go, and also threatens a fork. So it's a very good move, because after you move the rook, you can fork the queen and the knight, and it looks like white is going to win a piece. So actually the best move is just to give up and lose the piece right now, kill that further threat of the f-pawn, take it, and then you shouldn't take back right away, because then you're going to lose your own knight. So instead you want to sacrifice that knight, and perhaps that's why even the computer didn't like that bishop move earlier, because I couldn't even explain until I saw this variation why the bishop is bad there. The reason is bad there because it can be attacked and captured, and now of course you can capture the knight. It's a little bit better when you know you're going to lose a piece to actually do the most damage with it. So knight takes h3, at least completely ruins the king's defenses. And here again you take as white, and black kind of recaptures with queen or a rook, it doesn't really matter. But white has come out on top. See, as you can see, there is this bishop, and there is no pieces left for black apart from the queen and the rook. So let's capture like that, just to illustrate what would happen. But as you can see, like white is here up a piece, but it's not already like completely winning. And the reason for that is white's king is very unsafe. So if we go back, I'll just refresh, because I don't like the colors when you go in evaluations, go really, really bright, really light. So let's go back to the position and see what happens. Right, sorry, let's get back to move. Yeah, this was the critical position after the two mistakes by Nurgul. So Goryachkina, I think, didn't consider that, because to consider that, you need to see you definitely win that piece, which is quite strange in my opinion and unnatural. But also you need to see that to do it, you need to completely ruin your king side. From these three very solid looking pawns, by the end of the attack, you've lost this one, and you only have a pawn on h3. So that's not a good defense, and unless you can prove that you have a very solid position, you wouldn't just consider the sequence of events to lead to sacrificing your king's safety. It's almost as important as a piece, right? As I said, white wasn't clearly winning, it was only plus 2.5. Right, so instead Goryachkina played a move that probably 99% of people would play, because it just makes a lot of sense, which is rook to b1, kicking out the queen, and life goes on. Nurgul is now again much more closer to drawing than anything else. So from here on the game kind of ended in a draw. Neither side could make any advantage, and whilst there is still a lot of heavy artillery on the board, two pairs of rooks, queens, and a minor piece, they get quickly exchanged, as you see, and in the end both kings are just too safe, and there is not much progress you can do with the pawns. In fact, it was pretty cool that Nurgul for a while had a pawn up, I thought, but it's very difficult to prove any advantage. He really tried, but as you can see, there's just nothing in the position that can enable a win. Let's see how Goryachkina managed to defend, since she's the one with the pawn down. Here, actually, the pieces get exchanged, and at this point, it becomes quite obvious that here basically white is winning back their pawn. If you lose your mind and exchange queens here, of course it would be black's win, but this pawn is going now, and Nurgul here, whatever she played, I mean, has lost the pawn. So in any case, I think a nice game to end for both players. Neither of them lost, which I guess it's more important at the end of the tournament, where it doesn't matter and the win doesn't give you anything. And overall, an end to a grueling tournament, which I think in the end saw Nurgul raise her rating based on her games. Also, she finished second last with equal points with the last player. But again, for the lowest title player, I think actually it was good performance. I'm sure if you ask her, like, she missed an opportunity to really make it an amazing performance. And I'm sure she's not happy, because she's obviously very ambitious, talented Bulgarian player. So well done, Nurgul, and thanks for giving me the joy of covering these games. Thanks guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and bye bye.